I think that we are all slaves. I guess when I say we, I mean the working class, which is the majority of us. And I don't think there's much difference between the slaves that were hundreds of years ago to what is now. The only difference is that the royalty or the rich people that had the slaves evolved and tried to make us think that we have the power by making it seem like it's an option for us to be a slave to them. And the only luxury that comes in that is that we get to choose who our master is going to be. And I guess if we're lucky enough to grow up in a situation where we can go to college, we are given the luxury of being able to get into a better job and have a better master who pays better. But as someone who has gone to school and has had better jobs, and I know there's lots of other people like this, that soul sucking corporate job is the same or worse as a lower paying job. Honestly, none of it is good. It's all really, really bad. And I feel like most of people are not seeing reality for what it really is, or they're not allowing themselves to because, they have kids or a family to take care of and it's not an option. I don't have kids, and all I have to do is take care of myself, which isn't an easy thing for me to do, unfortunately. But if I did have kids and a family to take care of, I wouldn't have time to think about the fact that I was a slave because I would just have to. And then the people that are awakened to the fact that we're all slaves, well, some of them just drown themselves in, alcohol or drugs or some sort of coping mechanism. And for others like me who already have mental health issues, I just feel like it makes life not worth living because I don't really know what I'm supposed to do or how I'm supposed to survive. The best case scenario is that you work a 40-hour a week job. Most people are working more hours than that, and you're barely getting by. I know a few wealthy people, not many, but they just don't have to think about anything. Like, I go out for dinner with them and they pay for everything and it just doesn't matter. And then I have to second think about buying fast food because it's some things at McDonald's I find are too expensive. And I just want to. Ugh, I'm so tired of crying on here. Like, I don't want to cry anymore. I'm over it. I really thought I could get through this month without crying, but like, I can't do this. I don't know what this is, and I don't know. There's no answer to it either, right? Because I think, well, what is the answer, right? And lots of people say that the really, really wealthy people, you know, should share their money. Should they? And if they did, would that even fix anything? If they shared that money to everyone, there's still going to be greedy people and who want more, and it's that's not an answer. The only answer I've come up with that might work is, you find a bunch of family and or friends and you like kind of live like kind of like the Hutterites or like how like farm people do, and you live together and you just work to fulfill your basic needs, but like that life sounds so good. Of course, if you grow up in that life, you don't see the good in it, but after living in normal society. I don't want this anymore. I don't need a large amount of money, even though it makes me sad to say that I'll accept just a living amount of money and still having hours in my day and not having to work 40 hours a week just to come home and have 3 hours to yourself to just wake up and do the exact same thing over again, just pointless, useless jobs. And maybe that's my fault for going into a career path that is a corporate career path. Maybe if I would have chose something like nursing or something, that maybe I wouldn't feel this way. My nonna tells me about her childhood, and she was born in Italy, and they didn't have much money, so they had like a farm, and she had to drop out of school when she was quite young, I think like elementary school, to take care of her dad and her siblings and the farm and everything. And it was a hard life for them, and they all, they lived in a very small space. They didn't really have bedrooms. Their house was their house with beds, and they didn't really get to eat the animals that they farmed because they ate very poor diets because that's all they could afford. And it's a sad life, but she is one of the happiest people I know because she views things from a certain lens, and just like sometimes I don't want to say I wish that was my life. Um, I lost track of what I was trying to say. They weren't able to eat the meat that the animals they farmed because they had to use that money to they had to sell the animals to make money. And I just think that you know an in between those two versions of life would be good. I don't know. There doesn't seem to be a solution. It seems like it's just suffering, and it's not like you're just giving up a few hours of your week. Like you're giving up your life. 40 hours is the bare minimum, and for most people, like I said, it's a lot more, and that is your life. That is what you come to Earth to do. Doesn't seem right. But there is no solution. And I think to myself, maybe one day, unlikely based on my inability to function as a human, but maybe I'll make enough money on YouTube to survive, right? Like I'm thinking like $3,000 a month. So very not much money, but like just enough to get by. And then maybe I'd work a part-time job on the side so I could, um, survive. But then what about everybody else, right? The world is filled with people like me and like who are forced into slavery. But I don't know what the answer is because we're being slaves to the wealthy. We're slaves to what used to be the royalty and is the wealthy now. And I don't know what the answer is. People think our society is so evolved. I laugh how people think we're so advanced. We are so far from being advanced. This time period of life will be in the textbooks hundreds of years from now as a very, very difficult time. We just started having computers 40 years ago. That is not us being advanced. That is us at the very, very, very beginning of evolution of society. I'm sure they'll come up with some sort of solution a long time from now, but they will guaranteed look back at this generation of people or this period time span of 100 or 200 years or whatever it ends up being. We won't. None of us will live to see the change, and they will view us as slaves. We were slaves. We were misled slaves to the corporate life or to society, and being sold false promises or how everyone lives for retirement. And there's no guarantee you're even going to be alive by the time retirement age comes. There's no guarantee. And people live for that and they just trade in their lives and they're just okay with it. And I'm trying to come to terms one sec, because I have health issues, which some of you know, and probably not a lot, because I don't like to talk about them, but I can't work right now, and I mean, I'm physically incapable of it. And I'll probably talk about it in a video. I just don't like talking about it because of my appearance, because people look at me and they don't believe that I can be as sick as I am because of the way I look. And it's not fair. But I just keep it to myself because it doesn't really matter. I don't really care what other people think anymore.